The following is a transcript of a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, dated 19th of September 2020. And the subject is the emotional aspect of the root chakra in the constellation of Virgo. Me. The more I analyze the mental and emotional aspects that constitute me, the more I realize everything that I have been denying in myself. I am. Because we return to the same old thing, survival. Remember that your being comes from a long history of biological evolution and adaptation to a hostile environment. Ever since the first single-celled organism emerged, there has been a relentless struggle for resources and survival in a constantly changing environment. This generated that during the process of transformation of the more complex multicellular organisms, each of the cells had a fundamental mission, which ranged from defending the general system to allowing survival in as many times and spaces as possible. Thus, the cells, seeking to save energy so as not to die, seek convenience, comfort, and safety, with which everything uncomfortable, negative, painful will try to avoid as much as possible. Me. This is why, if a being cannot escape from a toxic and painful cycle or environment, they will turn it into their natural environment, which makes many people repeat or look for uncomfortable situations to feel good, right? I am. Exactly. And both on the one hand and on the other, it is simply a reaction of the body to cling to a security. Security often has nothing to do with being well, but with what is known. Change is what costs energy, what breaks the structure and makes us feel like death. A negative situation that is repeated over and over again is a stable situation for the simple fact that the cells know what their mechanical responses are. They can foresee, and that gives security and calm. This generates vicious cycles in living beings, not only in humans, but in all of nature. Saving energy is something that allows the union of atoms and the formation of stable molecules that shape the entire reality that we see. It is the basis on which all existing organisms are based. Stability is precisely the ability to be stable, to be and to remain. Since change disrupts order, transformation generates crises and an enormous expenditure of energy, for which, in the case of being, is very necessary. A lot of energy must be saved. For this reason, when nature needs to transcend in the form of metamorphosis or reproduction, it saves and consumes a lot of energy, eating and sleeping as long as possible, just as the plant and animal kingdoms do. Me. And the human? I am. Does the same. In essence, he eats and sleeps, works to survive, and tries not to face situations that require a lot of personal effort to achieve something. The less effort, the greater stability. Me. Something that society has told us is bad. I am. It's not bad, but it's boring and involutive. Me. Boring, I can vouch for that. But why involution? I am. Evolution comes from the Latin words ex, to go out, and volure, to go around. The concept is, then, to go forward, giving many laps, rolling, unwrapping what was wrapped or rolled up, which gives rise to the word develop. In other words, that which evolves is that which is capable of turning on itself, of advancing, moving through space, turning and changing its position forward. Thus, what remains static does not evolve. it stops. There are no new perspectives. There's no adaptation. And this deteriorates the ability to get in tune with the changing environment. Thus, when the environment forces him to transform, he will not be able to do so and will die. That is called involution. Me. And the revolution? I am. Re is to return to. In other words, revolutionize implies moving one step forward again after a period of stability. This is why revolution is called the moments of great changes after a period of rigid, systemic, totalitarian, and egalitarian system. All the processes of volution imply that in each movement, each step, the being takes something new from the environment. We could say that the act of evolving is opening up to expressing oneself towards a new reality that leads us to live a new experience, which will give us new concepts to integrate, which would give us the wisdom to move to a new level and transcend the previous one. Taking or grasping something in Latin is said prendere, and the action of grasping something is said to learn. The same happens with the Saxon languages through the concept lisnana that gives rise to the English learn, which would mean acquire. Learning, then, is the concept of acquiring new perspectives and knowledge of the world as I move through it. But the fear of what might happen if I spend my energy moving without knowing what will happen makes me look for the comfort zone. And that conformity, which comes from the Latin keep the same shape, leads me directly to deny. Thus, the opposite of learning would be deny movement. Me. So, denial in all aspects of our lives leads us to see what we are unable to assimilate or transcend? I am. Tell me what you deny in your life, and I'll tell you what you don't know how to handle. Me. Sure, sometimes I've noticed that precisely the things that I deny in my life are precisely the things that I don't know how to manage or handle when they appear. I have no tools to transcend them. I am. It is common for a mind, an emotion, or a body to try to become defensive in the face of something that is flatly denied. Because for the three of us, that concept is harmful. It disrupts our mental, emotional, or physical stability. For example, tell me, what is it that you deny in your life? Me. Resentment is one of them. Competition is another. Anger and sadness. I am. Well, we could say that you are within the expectations of at least 80% of the human population. Everyone wants to be happy, so everyone will deny anger, sadness, hate, and all those emotions that make us unstable. However, when I deny that those emotions are part of me, when I refuse to accept them as part of my life, when I reject or separate them as if they were doing something apart from love and happiness, or when I judge them, all I'm doing is to give them more strength. Why? We are going to analyze it with a current global situation, the virus. Tell me, when do you become immune to a virus? Me. When I expose myself to it. I am. That is to say that the only thing that the quarantine achieves is that it does not spread so that doctors and hospitals do not collapse. But quarantine does not cure the virus. It is just a measure to use the health services progressively. A person who spends his whole life protecting himself from viruses, washing his hands all the time, boiling all water before drinking it, never touching the ground or walking barefoot, never going out if it's cold, covering himself all the time, covering his face, disinfecting everything it touches. This is an easy person to be exterminated in the face of a simple flu, since their immune system will not recognize any virus or bacteria. The body is strengthened by exposure, as the immune system knows what to fight if it finds it. This is how we often see that dirty children who go down the street get sick less or almost nothing compared to children who never go out and are always clean. Similarly, on an emotional level, a person who worries all the time tends to get sick more easily than the one who deals with living. Me. Denying an emotion in my life is like denying a virus. Denying a reality is like denying a bacterium. I am. When your first reaction to an affirmation is to deny it, you should ask yourself the question, what moves this in you so that you deny it? Me. And what about the concept of denying war, for example, or denying control? That is, there are two types of negation. One is deny because we don't want it, and another is deny because we don't recognize it. I am. What the first type of denial does, that of I don't like it, I don't want it, is to give power to that factor, as with the virus. Everyone denies wars out of disgust. However, has this stopped wars? A great consistent example of this is Germany. This country has been involved in the worst wars in modern and contemporary history. However, everyone there studies and talks about the causes of those wars to understand that it should not happen again. But their method is contrary to that of many countries. It is not a taboo subject. It is an important topic to discuss and recognize in great detail. If you don't know him, you won't be able to recognize him early on. And by the time you find out, it will be too late. Most countries do not analyze or discuss war. They simply study it as a historical fact that is better forgotten. It is known that they are bad, but they do not want to analyze more about it. The struggles have a root in situations that have nothing to do with a struggle, but with a crisis or depression. World War II arose from an economic conflict in Germany, not from racism or supremacism. Not understanding the causes and processes make us ignore the reason for things. Thus, when we simply deny the fact or subject or object, we are only giving more force to the possibilities of its repetition. A country with an economic crisis naturally begins to divide the people between rich and poor, then ethnic groups, and then generates racism, leading to the struggle of races and classes that end in a bloody revolution or coups and exiles. It's like now with the coronavirus. Quarantine is not the solution. The solution was a good free public health service, more support in all scientific, medical, and nursing fields, international laws on animal consumption and food science. The same with a personal conflict by denying the whole history of a family. Ignoring the causes means that we always have to react to the consequences. Me. And the deny for not recognizing? I am. The unconscious tends to assimilate that its point of view is the only possible one. When someone tells you you are jealous, and your immediate response is, "No, I'm not," you're avoiding something fundamental that the other for some reason has seen in you. The simple fact that I tell you deserves a minimum analysis. Maybe it's his reflection on you, or maybe it's a truth of his own. A mirror has reflected something to you that you must see. Maybe it's just an easy spot to wash off your face, or maybe it's something you've never noticed from going too fast and not looking closely. Every time you are described in a way that you do not recognize in yourself, that you deny in your being, before saying no, ask yourself the question, why? Me. Oof. That would make us analyze ourselves all the time. I am. You feel that it wears you out, don't you? Me. A little. I am. So you feel like you're wasting energy and prefer to remain stable without evolving? Me. Well, if you put it that way, no, I want to evolve. I am. Then you must be congruent. Questioning is the key to learning. Stop fighting what I deny is the key to evolution. Don't fight world governments. Put your energy into building a new one. Don't fight against religion. Just learn to live in freedom from your I am. Don't fight your family. Create a new one. Don't fight your emotions. Just feel them and acknowledge them. Every emotion is useful, and to deny it is to lose the ability to know how to use it. Me. I understand. I am. The exercise of asking yourself the question is difficult at first, like learning to ride a bicycle. But when the brain gets used to it and exercises, that whole process is done in a second. If I tell you now, you are self-centered, what would you say? Me. Maybe before I would have told you no, but now I take a second to think, why? And I tell you that surely that image is seen because I always upload photos of myself. I talk about myself, I explain what I remember, and everything relates to me being the center of everything I do. So in a way, yes, I am self-centered. I am. And what will you do about it? Do you think you should change it? Me. I don't know. Should I change that when I recognize it? I am. The next question would be, is that useful to you? Me. Well, I would say yes, because my life project is the I am. And if I don't reflect for myself, I would be hypocritical. And I like to show what I do and am. It amuses me. I think I've taken that energy of self-centeredness to use it for something useful. I even use it as a tool that comes naturally to me because I'm a Leo, with Venus in Leo and Mars in Leo. It is my nature. I am. So what you should do is act on it from consciousness and stop being unconscious. It is not always necessary to change by polarizing what you deny, but by making it aware. There lies the true transformation of being, giving conscious power to something that he denied. And the way is by recognizing if what I had inside me is useful or not. Me. This reminds me that in the Atlantean language, Saitu, on the Nile 12,000 years ago, the words yes and no mean neither affirmation nor negation. Yes was said in several ways, but the conceptual one was which means my spirit contemplates it. And no, for which there were also several ways, but this conceptual one was meant that path has not yet led me to evolve. That is to say that something was never denied, but simply said that for now that path or possibility could not be contemplated. I am. Now that you understand, write down in your notebook the question, what emotions and feelings do I deny myself? That is, which ones can I not recognize, and which ones do I meet in the fight? Analyze, recognize, and start asking yourself the questions every time someone affirms something that you deny. 1. Why? And 2. Is it useful to me? Me. I observe, then, what my spirit contemplates in me, and I recognize the paths that I still cannot see of my evolution. I am. Ale ah ushkei emanyati yan amma es ibra. Say yes and no in full consciousness, so the I am will shine in you.